Having a game plan or strategy for building out your roster in an auction draft is extremely important. If you want to be the one who wins your league this year, you need to find the right roster building strategy. There are lots of different strategies for building your team, each with pros and cons. In this video, we'll be going over the most popular strategies such as studs and duds, balanced, discount only, and at the end of the video, we will go over the best strategy for 2025. Studs and duds is probably the most popular roster building strategy in auction drafts for many reasons. You target 2 to 3 high-end, expensive players and fill up the rest of your roster with cheap players. Studs and duds is great because in fantasy football, the high-end players give you a great chance to win each week, including winning it all. Also, there are many cheap players that will pan out and turn into top 12 players in their respective positions. The first main downside with this strategy is that you get a significant injury to one of your studs. It's going to be extremely hard to compete, let alone win your league. Think of Christian McCaffrey in 2024. Another downside is that you really need to hit on multiple of your duds, as you won't have enough money to get those semi-expensive, safer, average price players. The reason this strategy can be so good is if you hit on your duds, or your cheap players. Here's a list of players from 2024 who finished top 7 in their respective positions and cost on average less than $4. Jaden Daniels QB4, Baker Mayfield QB5, Jared Goff QB6, Brian Thomas Jr. wide receiver 4, Jackson Njigba wide receiver 7, Brock Bowers tight end 1, Jonnu Smith tight end 4, and Zach Ertz tight end 7. Studs and duds is a very popular strategy for people who can pick out the right cheap players. Next strategy is the balance strategy. This strategy is pretty much the opposite of studs and duds. Instead of avoiding the semi-expensive players, you target one for just about every position on your roster and a couple on your bench. The main pro of this strategy is that it can be considered the safest one. Being able to project your weekly team total can be very appealing for some people. Also, because you have a decent amount of non-cheap players, if an injury occurs to one of your players, it's not as big of a concern as if you had a very expensive player and they got hurt. The first con for this strategy is that, like we stated earlier, the stud or expensive players really dominate fantasy football and you won't have any of them on your roster. Going along with that, without having one of those types of players, it's really hard to build a truly elite team that can win your fantasy league. The next strategy is the discount only strategy. In this strategy, you are basically shopping the clearance aisle looking for discounts on players. Your goal is to feast on players that go for way less than their average draft value. In this strategy, you are not just focused on good values, you are focused on great values. Some of the pros to this strategy is that getting great values are very helpful in an auction draft, especially if you can get those on elite, high-end, expensive players. If you are truly following this strategy, it means that you are stopping your other league mates from getting great values, therefore hurting their rosters. The first negative for this strategy is that there may not be that many great values in your auction draft, especially on the elite players. Also, if you are getting great values on players' average auction value, you may end up with players that you A, didn't want, or B, were overvalued to begin with. The best roster building strategy for 2025 auction drafts is the hybrid strategy. More specifically, it's the combination of studs and duds and discount only. This strategy gives you the best of both worlds. You will have elite players, and you will also have the opportunity to find great values. Here are the steps to executing this strategy. You first want to begin your auction drafts securing 2 to 3 elite high-end players for the best possible price. Then, you want to look out for great bargains on 1 to 2 semi-expensive players if possible. The final step is you want to fill out your roster with cheap players or duds that have high upside potential. You will have lots of these spots open for these cheap players, which makes it a numbers game. Because hitting on these players you need luck, the more spots you have, the luckier you will be. There are players such as rookies, backup running backs behind old starters, wide receivers in non-crowded wide receiver rooms, and players in new situations, just to name a few. In the end, certain strategies will work better for different people in different leagues, so make sure to select the one that you think is right for you and your specific league. As always, if you want to learn more about the world of fantasy football auction drafts, check out the other videos in the channel and leave a comment with any questions. Till next time, peace.